a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes. So this is our second of 2020. Our first of 2020 Dr. Kevin shows was, as the first show of every month is, it's me and Matt Connerton Unleashed discussing the politics and other things going on in the world for the day. And in 2020, if you have missed the last couple of shows, you might not have heard the announcement, which is the second Thursday of every month. We are now referring to as Thoughtful Thursday. And on Thoughtful Thursday, Reverend Lori Powers-Otto and I will be sharing inspirational, motivational stories to help share some of the good stuff going on in the world. We're going to do this the second Thursday of every month for 2020 is just going to be Thoughtful Thursday. We're hoping to show you people out there in the world that are being thoughtful. We're hoping to make you thoughtful. And we would also like to invite you to share your own inspirational, motivational stories. You can do that by calling in at 202-570-7057. That's 202-570-7057. Or you can go to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, MyDrKevin. When you're there, make sure you like the page. I'm a likable guy, even if I do have to say so myself.
You are. Yeah, he's right. He is.
And there are two things there. There's a place where you can leave a comment to share an inspirational or motivational story of your own or one that you have come across. And you can find all of the inspirational, motivational stories that we have found that we wanted to share with you. We put them there so that you can grab them if you want, share them on your Facebook. You know, a lot of Facebook has become very divisive. It's become very negative. It's become very us and them with our current, especially with our current political situation. And, you know, Lori and I we sat and we chatted about it. And, you know, we just need to bring more light and love into the world. And if you're going to have something like 4 billion people on Facebook or some incredible number like that, then let's see if we can get a little bit more love and light and joy and happiness spreading out there, so not everything is negative or attacking or divisive. I think we have more divisiveness in the world than we need. So, Lori, welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Kevin. Thank you.
How are you? How are you? Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I agree with everything you just said. I think what people are missing is that there is more good in the world than there is this divisiveness and this hate, and that's what I think we're trying to share.
Yes, and we want you to share. We want you to share the good stories. Share the good stuff. I used to say that in the 70s and 80s, but I wasn't talking about stories at the time. I'm just saying.
What could you mean?
I don't know. I'll just have you use your imagination. How's that?
It was a long time ago.
It certainly was. You know, I'm a big believer that life is about worth living, and I've had no shortage of living in my life, and I'm proud of it. Not that I'm proud of everything I've done, but I'm proud of the fact that, as I like to say, when I go, they're going to say he died living.
Yes.
And too many people spend time out there living dead. They're not connected. They don't find joy. They don't participate. They just phone in life. And that's just sad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is. It's heartbreaking is what it is.
Yes.
Because it's unnecessary.
Absolutely. So, anything before we get to today's stories that you wanted to share that's not one of our posted stories?
Actually, there was something I was trying to share, and it wouldn't cooperate. And
I hate it when that happens.
I know. There is I was talking to my mom earlier tonight, and, down in D.C., where all this divisiveness is and all that political hate and blah, blah, blah going on, someone opened a very nice upscale restaurant for the homeless.
Ooh.
And they get treated with respect, and they get treated with love, and they get whatever, their favorite foods are. I just think that is so incredibly amazing that in the heart of the divisiveness, someone's bringing people together.
Well, I think that's great. And I think that anything that brings people together, that allows them to be exposed to diversity, find how we're more alike than different, and can bring a little joy and sunshine into the world is a fabulous thing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say as long as it's not at the cost of somebody else.
Right.
But
right. I'm trying to find it here. Oh, go ahead.
So I had a client this week. It was very interesting. And, I was one of my, obviously I'm not going to share names or anything that would allow people to identify them. But it was one of my medical intuitive clients. And it was really interesting because when I was working on this particular client, because when I work on medical intuitive clients, the bodies will talk to me, and they will tell me things. And as I'm working and doing some work on some issues that are going on in various, like organs and things like this, the body literally said, requested that the owner do two things. And one was be as sweet to themselves on a daily basis, take time to set time aside to be sweet to themselves on a daily basis, as sweet to themselves as they did spend all of that time running around caretaking other people. Because this is a caretaker. And the other one was that they needed to set aside some time every day, at least once, if not 2 to 3 times, where they intentionally got to a place where they were either doing something, watching something, whatever it took for them to laugh. And the thing was that, and I'm gonna slightly edit exactly how it came out because the body could be a very earthy speaker sometimes.
Right.
And it said, laugh, that for them to laugh until their whole body was shaking and they had to run to the bathroom because they were laughing so hard. Not exactly what they said. And they pointed out and they said, this will help with 2 or 3 of the issues they had, which are common issues for people. And, and I know that laughter can release endorphins, and I know that laughter can help build up the immune system. But these organs were requesting that the person literally needed to laugh more if they wanted to get healthy.
Wow.
And I just wanted to share that because it's not the kind of prescription you're going to see, at least at any of the doctor's offices I'm familiar with. They don't write on the pad, laugh 3 times a day until you have to your pants.
Right.
Okay. But it's such an incredible, I'd rather see that than go get an antidepressant.
Absolutely. And as you're talking about, I'm thinking, everybody needs that prescription, because think of what a wonderful world this would be if we all took the time to do that. I mean, we laugh all the time, but how many people never laugh or rarely laugh? I think I'm going to start adding that to my prescription pad. Stealing it from you. I think everybody needs to do that.
Yeah, and so here's where I want to take it for tonight's show, and it's nothing that I posted, but what I want to say on tonight's show is, laugh 2 to 3 times a day, doing something that creates laughter, real laughter, 2 or 3 times a day, and at least one of those times it needs to be with somebody else.
There you go. I like it.
There you go.
That is awesome. I mean, really, I just think that's such a positive difference that would make.
Do you remember, because I actually get Reader's Digest. My mom and dad had a chance to get a free subscription to it when they renewed theirs last year, and they gave it to me, and so I got Reader's Digest. And I have to admit, I didn't get a chance. My life is so crazy to read many, but they always had the column in it. Do you remember? Laughter is the best medicine.
Yes, I do remember.
Yep. Laughter is the best medicine. And you go and you read it. And so this is a simple way. And I know we have shy people out there and you have introverts out there, but even shy people and introverted people usually have one person that they feel comfortable with, somebody that they can do it with. But, you go online, or you pick up, if you happen to have the Reader's Digest, you pick it up and you read Humor in Uniform or Laughter is the Best Medicine, and you find one that makes you laugh, and then that's number one. And then you go and you share it with somebody, and then you get to laugh while they're laughing.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I can't love that enough.
So anyways, so it was, so that's my prescription. That's your prescription from the Dr. Kevin show.
It came from a doctor, so it's got to be good, right?
Yeah. Now, I do have to say, so I'm a doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. I cannot diagnose. I cannot prescribe. And any and all information I receive is intuitive in nature. I have to cover myself with the out there so that I don't end up on one of the AMA lynching trees planted kindly by the big pharma. So here it is. This guy sits down at a coffee shop. He hasn't bought anything, but he's getting ready to go onto the Wi-Fi. And he asked the counter clerk, what is the Wi-Fi's password? And the Wi-Fi's password is buy something or get out.
Ow. Okay, yeah. To the point.
So there is your short little, hopefully that made you laugh. Everybody has a different sense of humor, but I have made Lori laugh. Hopefully I've made some of you laugh, and that's such a short little joke. You can go out and share it and get a laugh in when you're listening to the Dr. Kevin show, and then you can get a second laugh in by sharing it with somebody else, because that's a pretty memorable short one. And actually it was done as a cartoon. And I did take that out of Reader's Digest. I picked up a Reader's Digest and just went and got it. So that being said, what story would you like to share? I'm going to give you first shot at one of our stories.
Okay. I have a couple that I picked this week, but I have to say I am stunned and excited about the vast amount of positive, motivational, inspirational stories that I have come across lately in the last couple of months that have to do with kids. people under the age of 18. They are going to save this planet. I have no doubt at this point, just because of the things they do. Now, we all know about the fires in Australia, and I could have posted 1,000 positive things about what's happening over there. I know, some people are like, oh, my God, everything's burning, everybody's dying, and they're looking at the negative. But the positive side, these people are, Mr. Rogers' philosophy personified, look for the heroes. And some of the heroes are kids, the Irwin kids, of course. But this, story about this car of teenagers that really moved me. They, bunch of kids wanted to do something positive. They went around and gathered up all the koalas they could find and took them to safety in their car.
Oh.
Right?
Oh.
It makes me teary-eyed.
Yeah.
If that doesn't restore your faith.
Yes, and and it's so funny. And one of the things I have to wonder when I hear or read about something like this is that there's obviously always been kids that are very connected with animals and stuff like this. But I think as we have become more citified, more gentrified, as we have destroyed more of our areas where we might be exposed to nature, as kids get less exposed to nature, and I think that, for a lot of kids, at least my age growing up, there was always a fair amount of nature you could get to, you could walk to, that you could go to. And I have to say, a lot of times, because it was just there was no big deal. It was no big deal. It was just there. You expected it to be there. You expected there always to be trees. You expected that there were always going to be things running around in the trees and, and birds flying and stuff like that. And I think as we have destroyed more of the two-leggeds and the four-leggeds and the winged ones on this planet, I think that we've got a generation of kids coming in that actually may be showing more appreciation because it is a big deal. It's not quite as common or as easy. I don't know. What do you think about that? You think that that's possible?
I agree. I agree, because now they're looking at it how we should have always looked at it, with wonder and awe.
And on that, we will be back to hear more awe from the wonderful Lori Powers-Otto.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. because in 31 states it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on OMTimes, where we're changing the world. Wait for it. One ohm at a time. And this is Thoughtful Thursday. So I came up with that name and I posted it, and I didn't even talk to you because I'm just a horrible co-host. So what do you think of it?
I think it's wonderful, and you are an amazing co-host. I love co-hosting with you. So, yeah, no, I think it's perfect.
So I am glad that you liked it. I just felt like I wanted to delineate, Matt and I have kicked around several names for that Thursday, and of course, for our listeners, on the third Thursday of the month, and it's going to vary a little bit in 5 Thursday months, but basically the third Thursday of the month is going to be our planetary influences, where Lori will, more often than not, I'm hearing, is what I'm getting from her, will be joining us, but we will definitely be having Rob Stewart, our astrologer, joining us to talk about the incoming planetary influences. And in fact, on the, not next week, but the week after, because this is a 5 Thursday month. So it's always going to be the Thursday that's somewhere in the 20s. And like I said, that varies a little bit. It's 123 this month because we're doing it around the beginning of the astrological sign. So he's going to be talking about the time of Aquarius. So instead of doing it on the 16th when it's still in Capricorn, we're going to do it on the 23rd where it's just slipped in to Aquarius. And we're going to be talking about what's going on astrologically, what are the influences that if you're aware of, you can capitalize on, because one should never give their power away to psychics, astrologers, tarot readers, judges, doctors, Indian chiefs, lawyers, and especially they should never give their power away to a politician.
Absolutely.
So that being said, we like to tell you what's going on so you know that you can, whatever that wave is, you can ride it a little better. This particular, on the 23rd, we're going to not only be doing astrology, but Rob is going to talk to us about cardology, something that he has been studying and is very passionate about, and that based on when you are born, it is something that is not really astrology. It's kind of like a kissing cousin in some ways, just like human design is. And there are, other things that are out there that are also based on birth time, date, place, things like this. He's going to be talking about what is my card in cardology, what is Lori's card in cardology, and what it tells him about it and how you can use it as yet another stream of information, another way to see how the energies, where your energies are, and how the energies of the world may be affecting you. So we're looking forward to that on the 23rd, and that will be again, again, most weeks, most months, it's going to be the third Thursday of the month, but it will be the fourth Thursday of the month on 5 Thursday months. But you can always just come to OMTimes and check it out, or you can come to MyDrKevin and see what the posting is for the week. So,
or they can just listen every week.
Or they can listen every week.
And then they never miss a show.
Yes. So now, this is one of the ones I'm sharing, and it is actually the Cafe Meow. Have you heard about the Cafe Meow?
No. Tell me all about the Cafe Meow.
It is a completely cat-themed Catatopia of a cafe. And it is I'm just checking. It is in Minnesota. Okay. It is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's called the Cafe Meow. It's been around for a couple of years. It is on our little click list, so you can find it. The reason I chose it for an inspirational story, and you definitely want to go through, because they're actually having it so you can go in and pay, get a cup of coffee, and hang out with some very people-friendly cats to help you get through a stressful day.
Nice.
Now,
Nice.
It's very interesting. Yeah, because people always talk about rescue dogs or service dogs and how dogs can, help people, and they can. But so do cats, especially for people who consider themselves cat people. Sometimes having a cat hop up and just rub you and purr and things like this is, could just change your whole energy for the day.
Oh, absolutely. And studies prove that the frequency of a cat's purr can actually give healing properties.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you something about my kittens in a second, but I do want to finish up the other thing about the Meow Cafe, which is one of the reasons it made my motivational, inspirational thing, is they have a whole room that's just full of cats that you can go into that you can adopt from.
Oh, nice. That's wonderful.
So they are a coffee cafe where you can get coffee and, a little nosh. You can lift your spirits by hanging out with some cats. And it is also functioning as a no-kill shelter. And that strikes why it deserves to be on this week's show.
Absolutely. And that goes to one of the other ones that I posted. Again, a child, 9 years old, I believe he is. He used his pocket money to feed stray dogs and decided that wasn't enough. So he opened, 9 years old, opens a no-kill shelter for all animals. 9. Come on.
Yep.
That just shows you don't have to have a ton to make a huge difference.
Yep.
I love places like that, This cafe,
Well,
that's wonderful. And this young man, come on. You got to be inspired, right?
Yeah, and one of the things is that I want to, I had my 2 cats that I had before these 2 kittens, I got from a no-kill shelter that's just north of Portland, Maine. And it's literally a woman died, and she left her house to be used, the whole house, as a no-kill shelter for cats. And it's a smallish. It's not a huge house or anything, but all you have is you have the place for them that, obviously they've set up the, to do the clinic stuff and things like this. But the halls, you go from room to room. And if you want a cat, you go and you hang out with the cats and they hang out with each other, and you can stay as long as you want. And you can figure out what cat works for you. And, and that's where I got Jackie and Leo, was from that particular shelter. And I think it's important that we do support no-kill shelters, that we do support activities, obviously, like spaying and neutering and things like this, so we don't have an overpopulation. But you said something about cats having a healing frequency. Yes. So I have started calling, and we had breakfast the other day, and I mentioned this to you, but I want to mention it on air. I've started to teasingly call my kitten Morgana my familiar, and doing medical intuitive work. And, I have, Jeff and I have 2 kittens, Morgana and Freya, who are now, they are 8 months old. And the first time that I had somebody on my healing table and was doing healing work on them, and I knew that they were cat friendly, so the kittens were running around. Literally, Morgana jumps up puts her paws on my hands and wraps herself around it and just lays on my hands and purrs while I'm doing the healing work.
Oh, how magical. That is amazing. I love that.
And then as time has gone on, there's been 2 or 3, actually, I have to say probably more than a half a dozen times, especially for certain clients. There are certain clients that are coming and getting work with me that the cats tend to be more attached to, which is normal, you know. Cats get to, you know, be more attached to people less. But I was working on this one client. I'm working on one area. They're talking about how you know, there is a pain that has showed up in another part of their body as I'm doing that. And I'm on one part of their body, and Morgana gets up, walks across the client, and sits down and stays on the part of the body that the client said was in pain.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's impressive.
Right across the, and then when I finished where I was and I went to go there, the client said, no, that's fine now. And so I start continuing the work I'm doing. And then something else started to hurt. Morgana gets up again, walks over, and lays down there twice in the same session. But right to where this client said that they were having an issue.
That's amazing.
She has now done this numerous times, especially with this particular client, where she will just be there. She will just go somewhere. The minute it is pointed out that there's an issue and I'm working somewhere else, it's like she can see the pain or she can see the uncomfort, and she'll go right over and she'll put paws on it, she'll purr on it, she'll lay on it. And you can't say that's by accident.
No. I mean, once maybe, but it's happened multiple times now. That's just showing that cat has great intuition.
Yep, that's why I call her my familiar.
And you should.
Yeah. So that's the story from the cat's meow, which as I'm looking at the pictures, I do have to point out also, I am seeing that they have a rainbow flag there. So that makes me also like it. And if you go there and you look at some of the stuff, they have cat-shaped cookies and they have cat art on the wall. So I'm sure when we get off air, you will have to go click the link because you will love these pictures.
Nice.
So you're up. What story would you like to share?
Well, I wanted to share this story because I've been hearing, so many bad things about the police lately. I know several policemen and women, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. So when I saw this story, I wanted to share it because in New York, they got a foot of snow, and the police officers heard about this 99-year-old woman that lives alone. And this happened on Monday, and they went out, and 3 of them, and shoveled her walkway and driveway and stuff for her, just because they heard that she lived alone and she's 99. She couldn't do it herself. Now, most people would have just said, let her call a plow guy or whatever. And these officers stepped up and did something wonderful for this woman that made a big difference in her life. Otherwise, she would have been trapped in her house for God knows how long.
Yeah, and there is something deeply disturbing about how easily we have as a society moved to a place where we are dismissive, actually, of the elderly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I don't know it to be true. I haven't read the article. I saw the headline. I think that's fabulous that they did it. It's always good to highlight because, Yes. Are there bad police officers? Yes. But I would put out there they're in the minority because there's bad everything.
Yes, there's good and
human.
bad in every vocation.
But
right?
Also, I mean, somebody who lives to be 99. Let me tell you, back when they were in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, they probably didn't think they were going to live to 99. They might have been very thrifty or, for the time or the age. I mean, if she's 99 years old, that means she was born in 1920 or 1919, somewhere like that. She was raised in the Depression. She saw World War II. And so the other thing is, sometimes the elderly can't afford to hire somebody to plow. Sometimes they're just piecing it together. Sometimes that act of kindness, saves them from making hard or tough choices. Like, do I just stay in until it melts because I can't do it myself? And maybe she can't afford to do it. I'm not saying that I know that for a fact, but I just think that that's also another thing that I wanted to point out.
Right. And the article didn't speak to that, but many of our elderly would have to make that hard choice. Do I buy my medication or do I pay someone to plow my driveway? Do I buy groceries or do I go without? Do I just get stuck in my house for a month? Because New York, they get a lot of snow. And I just think it's wonderful that these officers went out of their way and made her life easier. And we should all do that. I mean, in my book, I talk about how if we help each other, our neighbors, and go back to when we were neighborhoods, where you took care of each other and you looked out for each other. I mean, what a beautiful world we could get back to.
Yep. Absolutely. And, when you get to a place where everybody is actually in their joy and recognizing connectedness and helping each other and making the best. I mean, why do we need a common enemy? Who put that into the human consciousness? And who bought into it, and how do we sell out of it? How do we put that out of business? That we always have to find a common enemy to rally around, because you see it all over the place. That's what creates all the us's and thems. So let's move on to onto a break, and then when we come back, we will be sharing our last set of stories for today's Dr. Kevin Show.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
911, what is your emergency?
My kid shot himself.
All right, where's the wounds?
911, what's your emergency?
Please help. My son shot his brother.
911, what is your emergency? Okay.
911, please state your emergency.
Every day, 8 kids and teens are unintentionally killed or injured by loaded and unlocked guns.
It wasn't locked. It wasn't
Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and End Family Fire.
Hello, and welcome back to the third and final segment of the Dr. Kevin Show on the second Thursday of 2020, and on the Thursday that we are now calling for all of 2020, Thoughtful Thursday, where Reverend Lori Powers-Otto and myself are going to get together and we're going to share stories that are inspirational, motivational, things to make you thoughtful, to talk about people who are being thoughtful, and to help bring a little bit more love, light, and healing into the world. So, and all of the stories that we're sharing, well, there's a couple of exceptions. We share stories sometimes we can't get there's no quote-unquote link to. All the stories that we talk about, the majority of them, there are links. The links are on facebook.com/MyDrKevin, so that you can read the story for yourself. You can even choose to grab that link and post it and share a little bit of love, light, and healing on your own timelines. Isn't that an idea, a concept? And while you're at MyDrKevin, if you're here while we're on the live show and you have an inspirational, motivational story you would like to share, or in the future, second Thursday of the month, so right after the first Thursday of the month, at some point right after that, I'll be posting about today's show. If you have a story that you would like us to share, you can go and put it under the comment bar with the link. We invite you to share your inspirational and motivational stories before the show, and we can share them on the show, because not everybody can be available at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday for our live call-in show. Or if you are available and you're not hearing it as a replay, you can call in at 202-570-7057. Again, that's 202-570-7057, and share your inspirational story on air. So, I have two that I'm going to lump together. And then, but before I do that, I am going to talk about next week's show briefly. Next week, I have Josh, and I'm looking for his name right now. I know I have it. I will bring it up before we're done. But Josh is somebody who has written about and has suffered from a porn addiction, and it ruined his life. And he actually ended up losing his job, going to prison. And so one of the things is he has Joshua Shea. He has now a website. He's got a book out called so his website is recoveringpornaddict.com, and he talks about this as the addiction that no one wants to talk about, that in its own way is ruining America. So that is next week on that show. Lori, as always, you're welcome to hop on and co-host it if you'd like. If you're free, just let me know. But I do want to share that is our next week's show. Back to this week's show, however, I'm going to tie a couple of stories together that are here, and they're both about Christmas trees. Christmas has come and gone. My Christmas tree is out at the side of the road. I'm waiting for it to be picked up by the city of Nashville. And so, Lori, do you have any idea what happens to unsold Christmas trees?
I do not. What happens to unsold Christmas trees?
Well, and that's one of the reasons I grabbed this, is because many of them actually are chopped up, ground down, and fed to plants and animals. And so they're actually the best form of recycled. And so they go through an entire life cycle for the holiday tree and for wreaths. I just thought that was kind of great. The other lights that's used is in coastal areas that get ravaged by hurricanes and erosions. Leftover Christmas trees can be fastened together, stalked down, and used to trap sand. A dry Christmas tree is a perfect foundation for the creation of a sand dune. Over time, the tree will break down, but it gives time for plants around them to take root. And they're able to absorb the impact of the wind and the water. So in Louisiana, they used to restore coastal marshes. South Dakota, they've been dropped into a lake to improve fish habitats. And in San Francisco, they've been fed to goats. So there is a National Christmas Tree Association, and there are more than 4,000 local Christmas tree recycling programs through the United States, which sells approximately 25 to 35 million each year of Christmas trees.
Wow. I had no idea.
So,
I heard that you could feed them to goats, and also elephant sanctuaries were looking for Christmas trees this year to feed to the elephants. But I didn't know you could do all that other stuff. That's really fascinating.
Yeah. And the fact that we're such a disposable society. We're just such a disposable society where we just don't think about it and we throw things away. And in this day and age, between recycling and composting and all of the need that can be filled, I don't know. I just really thought that was a great story.
Yeah, I think that is a great story.
So that, and here is another Christmas tree. A Texas man is making canes for veterans using hundreds of donated Christmas trees.
I almost shared that story. I love that story. How brilliant is that?
Jamie Willis started Canes for Veterans Central Texas in 2016 when he realized he wasn't the only veteran who needed a cane that was safe, sturdy, and not just ugly. After 8 years in the Army, Willis was left 100% as a disabled veteran, completely unable to work. So I do this so I don't sit home all day feeling sorry for myself. This is all out of kindness. I do everything out of pocket and from donations. So there's another one in Florida. There's an organization in Florida called Free Canes for Veterans, which was giving out about 500 canes. So since then, the 50-year-old has made and delivered more than 200 canes to veterans who live all over the world. And
that's impressive.
Yep. And so some of those Christmas trees, after bringing joy and delight to a family, are serving a great purpose by helping people, helping disabled veterans. So you're up, and I can't believe it. It looks like when we did December, we were never getting to all of the stories, and I think both of us probably pulled back a little bit because we were never getting to all the stories, and I think we got through all of the stories.
We did. We did.
So tell me what you've got coming up. Tell me what's going on. What are you doing out in the world that is also inspiring and motivating, and or just helping people? Like, what are you doing to what are you out there doing? What do you have to share with us?
What am I out there doing? I'm not doing anything specific right now. I mean, I have some things coming up in March, but I'm not quite ready to share those with the world yet.
Okay.
A scientific experiment that I'm doing with a friend of mine. So we're gonna, but mostly I'm just, I have my book out, as you know, and
are you going to share the title with our listeners and post a link to it on the timeline?
I should, yes. It's called We Can Save Her, Mother Earth, Climate Change and Us. And it's not just about climate change like a lot of people think. It is actually about our relationship with ourselves and and each other and the planet. And so I'm out there trying to get people aware of how easy it is to make a positive difference in the world, how it doesn't have to be the grandiose actions, that it can be the small things. Like literally it can be shoveling for your neighbor or holding a door for a stranger. All those things, or just, acknowledging people, looking at people in the eye. It makes a huge difference. And that's where my focus is right now, is teaching people that it's easy to make this a better world.
So we will look for, you can come to, again, facebook.com/MyDrKevin, and you'll find the link to Lori's book. You can go on and get it on Amazon. Well, I've got some stuff. I actually, interestingly enough, talking about earth changes, I actually am teaching this class both in coming up in Portland, Maine, as well as in Londonderry, New Hampshire. I am teaching Atlantis and Lemuria. So we're going to talk about what happened to the first shot at civilization. Then we're going to talk about the second shot, the civilizations that I like to refer to as before our recorded history. And what messages do we have to learn from them, and where are we making the same mistakes? Some of the same mistakes they're making. That is January 15th is Wednesday in Portland at Leafy Lizards. And it is Monday the 13th at New Hampshire Metaphysical that I'm teaching that class. I also have a drumming circle coming up this Sunday. It's a full moon drum. I have put it out to do one drum a month and get together. I will provide a bunch of the musical instruments, but obviously I'm looking for people, if they have them, to bring them themselves, because I never know how many people will come to the drum circle. But not only is it going to be a drum circle, we're going to start with this full moon. What does this full moon mean? And what are the energies of this full moon? And what can we do for ourselves and in the world that will take advantage of this full moon energy? Then we will do a meditation. We will follow the meditation with some drumming, where we put our intention and our focus out. And then when the drumming comes to an end and we've built all of that energy, we gift that energy down to Mother Earth for healing and for restorative purposes. So,
and where are you doing this?
This is at New Hampshire Metaphysical, 3 Sanborn Road, Londonderry, New Hampshire. It is this Sunday. And if you come to MyDrKevin and you look at events, or if you're a Meetup person, it's also on Meetup. You can get the information. You get all the information there. But it is the drumming circle. It's going to be as close. I've got to do them mostly on Sundays. Sometimes I can do them on Mondays, but I try to get as close to the full moon as possible. Some months it's a little further away, but I have that coming up. Again, that's going to be in Londonderry. The Atlantis Lemuria will be both in Londonderry and Portland. And then I am going to be in Chicago for 2 weeks. So all of you people in Chicagoland, I'm going to be out there for 2 weeks. Make sure you catch up with me out there, and I'll be posting some stuff out on the MyDrKevin. And I'm going to be doing a Manifesting Love in Portland on February 5th, and in Londonderry February 10th. So, as well as starting an intro to astrology. So I've got a lot of things coming on to help people become empowered, more knowledgeable, help themselves. And when you help yourself, you help the world. If you become more of who you're here to be, then you are benefiting the world in the way you came in to benefit it. I always like to tell clients and students that your presence on this planet was a present that was given to humanity at this time. And the more that you are you, the more of that present you give out. And it doesn't have to be because you cured cancer or you found a way to actually recycle plastic so that it no longer is going to be around in 1.5 million years. It can simply be that you're out there being you, and by being you, you are a pebble that creates a whole set of shifts and changes and circles that in of itself changes the world in a positive way. So that's some of what I've got coming up. I've got a very full schedule of teaching this year, and I'm going to continue to share what those classes are. But you can always come to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, and you can go to the event section, and you'll see all the different events that I'm doing there. And I don't know whether I'm going to, quote unquote, I don't know if I will get chosen for it or not, but I actually put out to be the Mayor Pete's delegate for the National Democratic Convention from my district in New Hampshire.
Wow,
I should be going to Milwaukee this summer.
I love it.
Okay, so thank you. And I don't know if I'll catch you next week or not. You'll let me know. You'll have to tune in and be surprised. But we've got Joshua Shea on next week. But we know that she'll be back the week after to participate in planetary influences in cardiology. Lori, as always, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin. Good night.